the People's Progressive Party, Mr. Alira David. From the Uganda People's Congress, Honorable Ebil. From the Democratic Party, the Honorable Gerald Seranda. And from the National Unity Platform, Mr. David Lewis Rubongoya. The shadow cabinet members, the leadership of the National Unity Platform members are present today. Honorable members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted today to be present as our parliamentary front launches their legislative agenda, which amazingly is the first of its kind in the history of Uganda. More particularly, I'm delighted that the legislative agenda focuses on areas among many such as the electoral reforms, curbing wasteful spending, service delivery, especially in the areas of education and health, and the participation and performance of our members of parliament. We all know, and it has actually been mentioned, that we've been severally criticized as a group that has no clear agenda, as a group that would sink this country if we ever take power. Many times we've been criticized to be a group that has no alternative policy. Although I've been many times encouraging such critiques to read our manifesto, the manifesto of the National Unity Platform, and indeed the manifestos of other parties, the ANT manifesto, the FDC manifesto, and the DP manifesto. I further want to encourage them to read this legislative agenda, because this legislative agenda largely covers, it's largely a reflection of our manifesto. So I know that such people criticize us that way simply because they try to cover the truth. And I'm very honored to see that every now and then the truth protrudes out and manifests itself. I salute you once again, friends. Honorable members, allow me to once again congratulate you for emerging victorious from an extremely violent election. We will all agree that the election in which you emerged winners was more or less a war front, and if it was a less violent election, we would have much more members in this house. But we are here and we have to work with what is here today. While we are here, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you that the common person down there, in the common places, in the rural areas, in the ghetto, the common Ugandan is still skeptical about whether this parliament is capable of performing its mandate. You will agree with me that this parliament, like all other institutions of government, have been vulgarized. This parliament in particular has on many occasions, but more particularly on the age limit debate, has cast itself in very bad light with the people. So while you have a duty to, restore confidence of the people in this parliament, I want you to know the reality of where you are, the reality of the way things are. Friends, we are in a military dictatorship. I will say it again for clarity. We are in a military dictatorship. People largely have no faith in this parliament. So you must not sit here and forget the reality. You must not sit here and forget what is in the minds and eyes of the people that you represent here. Of course, it's very important to know Well, you know that already, but it's important to remind you that the parliament and the judiciary are largely used, to cast an image of democratic rule and constitutionalism in this country. They're only used to cover the truth. That is the reality of the matter. We all know that real power does not rest in these institutions, but rather in the hands of those that have the guns. So we must remind ourselves of that, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, one may ask, why then are we in parliament? Why then do we have a leader of opposition? Why are we here in the first place? The Baganda say, Omuzizi azimbia twe. We made it clear right from the beginning that we will use every available front, every available office to further the fight, the struggle for true freedom, justice, for true democracy in this country. And that is why we're here. We are not in the opposition because that's right, our rightful position. No. We are supposed to be government because people elected us to lead them. But the guns pushed us in this position. And this position we shall use to fight even further, to see that ultimately we get where we are supposed to be, where the people of Uganda rightly placed us. I was recently very encouraged by one of my good friends, now His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema, the President of Zambia, and I was reminded that actually victory is possible, and it is in the near future for us. So friends, while we are here, prepare yourselves not just to be in the opposition. People have trusted us with a little, and the way we perform now is what's going to give them even more confidence to trust us with the entire country. So let's go to work, let's do what we must do, and let us do it with diligence, with confidence, but most importantly, with humility and with integrity. Besides, ladies and gentlemen, we are here because it is not these institutions or organs of government that we say are illegitimate. No, these are legitimate institutions and organs. It is those at the helm of them that are illegitimate. And that's why we want to remove them, so that these institutions and organs are not vulgarized any further. I will remind you very briefly of the clear indications of why we say those that rule over us today are illegitimate. Just the other day, yesterday, members of parliament from Greater Luero, who were together with my wife, by the way, today is our 10th wedding anniversary. And just to remind you, I'm accepting gifts in terms of cash, land titles. Yeah, but on a serious note, friends, just yesterday, the incident in Luero reminds you further of how we are being misruled. You all know the skyrocketing numbers of teenage pregnancies. You are all aware of the constant lies, year in, year out, term in, term out, of Madam Janet Museveni, the wife of the ruler of this land, who also doubles as Minister of Education and Sports, who also triples as the Maria Antoinette of our generation, has relegated the girl child to such a condition. And even those of you, not just the common citizens, the ordinary citizens, but also members of parliament, have no right to reach out to their people, have no right to extend services to their people. While you sit in this parliament, please be reminded of what happens when you are out of these parliamentary precincts. That's exactly what happens, friends. You all know that recently the chairperson of the local government committee unearthed a rot You all watched while the apparent Prime Minister of this country was on TV making a fake call to a fake person, the first purported beneficiary of the COVID relief, was a hoax, was a fraud. Now you know where we are. While we are so comfortable in this AC, we can very easily forget.